Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. It's a video session on daily news and editorial analysis dated 11th of December. Through this video session, I'll be discussing the important news and editorial both from the Hindu and Indian Express. The analysis of the news will help all the aspirants who will be appearing for the upcoming civil services examination, state public service commission examination conducted by various states, and one-day examination. So this will cater all category of aspirants. And before I proceed further, I would just like to tell you that those of you will be appearing for the upcoming prelims examination, which is scheduled at 26th of May. It is very important that you practice a good number of MCQs, right? So for that you can even refer to our social media platform. कई ऐसे channels हैं social media पे जहाँ पे आपको free में MCQs के सवाल भी मिलेंगे. And at the end of this session, I'll be also discussing two MCQs that will help you for the strong clarity and foundation of the upcoming prelims examination. Now we'll proceed further with the detailed analysis. First, I'll give you the highlights of the news. Then we'll proceed with the detailed analysis of news one by one. So the first news on the discussion is about the German debt break rule. We'll see what exactly this rule and where the German government has actually made the violation. Second important news talks about the COP document that calls for an augmented approach when it comes to climate change and even to achieve that target by 2030. The third important news talks about the part of Norwegian country जहाँ पे स्विट्जरलैंड और नॉर्वे जैसे कंट्री के साथ डायलॉग करने की बात कही है. The second last news talks about the part of Vishwakarma scheme. This is PM Vishwakarma scheme, where the details for the applicant has been discussed. Through this discussion, I'll make you understand about the salient feature for this PM Vishwakarma scheme. And we'll conclude the discussion with today's editorial that talks about the paradigm shift in the medicine. This specifically highlights about the gene and cell therapy and how this therapy can actually help in augmenting the overall healthcare sector in our country, something very important from the General Studies Paper 3 point of view. Now let's get started with the detailed analysis of the news one by one. So the first news is about the controversy that has emerged because of the debt break rule that is coming from the country like Germany. And recently we have seen that the constitutional court, जिस तरह से इंडिया में सुप्रीम कोर्ट है, उस तरह की वहाँ की कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कोर्ट ने डिक्लेयर किया है कि जो गवर्नमेंट के डिसीजन है टू ट्रांसफर द 60 बिलियन यूरो, दे हैव एक्चुअली मेड द ट्रांसफर ऑफ 60 billion euros, right? So this is originally, this particular amount was actually designated for pandemic, right? For pandemic part or for pandemic emergency fund, but government has actually utilized this fund in CTF. What is the CTF? CTF stand for Climate and Transformational Fund. So the court of Germany, that is the Germany Constitutional Court, has declared this decision of government as an unlawful decision. Now it become important for all the aspirant of the PSIR. जो भी PSIR के स्टूडेंट हैं उनके लिए ये ज़्यादा important है, and even for General Studies Paper 2 it become relevant where you can use this as an example. Now, moving ahead with the debt break rule, I think the word itself is evident that what exactly it means, but I'll just make it more simple for you. The debt break rule की बात करें, it's a balanced budget rule that set a capping, एक specific amount पे capping लगाई जाती है कि कितने fund को आप utilize कर सकते हैं and the amount that you can borrow for a public project. Suppose government want to make investment, right? इस investment में कितनी fund या कितनी allocations है, that is decided. Now the rule restrict the German government to make a fiscal deficit of 0.35% of the GDP. तो जितनी भी जो खर्च है वो GDP के 0.35% तक ही की जा सकती है, and prohibiting all 16 region of the country to engage in any other part of deficit spending. इस amount से ऊपर, this amount is 0.35% of Germany GDP cannot exceed, right? So this is GDP which cannot exceed. Now this is what the exact rule is, and because of this reason the court of Germany has actually made the rule or the decision taken by the German government as a violation. Now the budget break rule or the part of the borrowing which is there, spending restrict the EU stability pact, जिसे GSP भी कहते हैं, stability and growth pact, and this is something which will also impact the part of domestic counterpart. To ensure the part of economic balance in the region, the debt break rule is something that was violated and the court has taken the cognizance of it. Now, if you look at the data which is presented over here, this data is pretty evident of the fact that how the things was working. So this data is clear from 2011, right, till 2023. And you can say this part of the debt, this is the maximum forecast that has been there. And this is the budget allocation. So you can see the shortfall or the higher level of escalation that has been made. Now, what is the purpose of climate and transformational fund? Now, this is important for your mains as well. आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि किस purpose के लिए actually से use की जाती है. So CTF की बात करें, this is climate and transformational fund that was set up as an emergency fund for the climate change, right? And it operates outside the state budget. जो वहाँ की जर्मन गवर्नमेंट की जो एक्चुअल में बजट है उसके बाहर ये काम करती है एंड इट इज लाइक स्पेशलाइज्ड फंड व्हिच इज देयर फॉर द डिफेंस. So every country have their specific allocations for the defense, which is considered to be the part of emergency. Now, post-COVID, what has happened? That every country is maintaining the fund for their emergency. For the emergency corpus is separately maintained to ensure कि किसी भी तरह की अगर पेंडेमिक हो तो वो emergency fund जो है वो use की जा सके, right? Now, the CTF focus on the supporting initiative that is aligned to the Germany climate legislations to achieve the target and even to ensure that carbon neutral economy is promoted. If you look at the data of the COP28 also, it has specifically highlighted that country need to achieve this by 2030. I'll discuss that. ये भी हमारे discussion news में आगे हैं. So we'll see what are the target that has been set at COP28 by 2030. The government has allocated 212 billion euros from the fund for the period to 2047 to facilitate this effort, which was something, I mean, to a legitimate right it was given, but not to exceed a fund which was specifically made for pandemic. जो भी fund actual में pandemic के लिए रखी गई थी, the fund which was actually meant for reserve for the pandemic cannot be utilized for the climate, and if it is used, only 0.3% of this country GDP can be utilized. So this is the part where you necessarily need to understand this fact. Now, moving ahead, COP28 actually called for a progression of the climate change by 2030. This is what I was talking about. तो इसमें देखेंगे कि किस तरह से इस बार की जो कोप की ड्राफ्ट रिलीज हुई है. दिस इज COP28 and specifically which is there at UAE in Dubai. They have highlighted that country must place their road map. यहाँ पे road map की बात की गई है that all country need to come up with their road map that how they will be achieving the target. और ये road map उन्हें 2025 तक present करनी है. And by 2030, they should aim to achieve all the target that is presented in the roadmap. Now, moving ahead with the other details, अगर annual climate talks की बात करें, specifically mitigations पे बात की गई है. Mitigation is something which is very important when it comes to the part of sustainable living, sustainable environment, right? So specific plans की बात की गई, specifically the greenhouse gases emission. The greenhouse gases के बाद अगर और भी कुछ important चीज है like CO2 emissions that need to be reduced down, and this was specifically highlighted in the global stake take process. I've already made a detailed discussion to this. However, there's an equal importance that was given for the adaptations. Why adaptation? Because adaptation is a kind of readjustment or adjustment in the ecological, social and economic system that must take into consideration with an anticipated climate effects. अगर किसी चीज को अचीव करनी है तो उसके adaptations के लिए भी we need to take all precautionary measures, right? So this will help the country to achieve the target. The global temperature has already risen to 1.1 degrees Celsius since the pre-industrial limit, and even if you look at the Paris Climate Agreement, यहाँ पे limit 1.5 degrees Celsius तक की रखने की बात कही. And moving ahead with the country-specific target, so this is to highlight according to the UN Climate Division, the actions are the country-specific and can range from various domains like building up of the flood defense, setting up of early warning system. If you look at the early warning system, यहाँ पे मैंने आपके साथ डिस्कस किया था कि किस तरह से अर्ली वार्निंग सिस्टम होने की वजह से इंडिया हैज actually saved a lot many lives, right? So this is something the country specific endeavor has also helped. India in general has actually come up with the early warning system for cyclone, and even other country like switching to the drought resistance for the crop and redesigning the government policy. So these are some of the country specific action that has helped to a larger extent in the policy formulation, and the final version is expected to the part of the agreement जहाँ पे COP28 summit जब conclude होगी, which is scheduled to be concluded by tomorrow. So एक detailed पूरी SOPs, how things need to be put down, and what are the things that need to be done by a country specific will be specifically highlighted, and detailed roadmap will be released, and a target to achieve will also be mentioned. And moving ahead with other news, that is Nordic country dialogue on trade and negotiation. So, I mean, the visit of the trade minister from the Swiss and Norway, they are actually looking forward to augment the relationship with India. And this is something which will help India and all the Nordic country to a larger extent, establishing the part of trade and even cooperating on the part of trade and pact. So the trade pact will be actually signed between the member countries to ensure that Norwegian country and India is making toward best possible efforts. Now, before I proceed, one important note to be taken care of, that which are the country which is considered as a Nordic country. ये आपके MCQs के लिए काफी ज़्यादा relevant है for the prelims examination. So the first country include Norway, then we have Iceland, Finland, Sweden, and Denmark. So there are 5 countries that are considered as a Nordic country, right? तो ये 5 country को Nordic country कहते हैं. Now, FTA की अगर बात करें, if you look at the free trade agreement which is there, so there is definitely an unsolved issue which is there between the negotiation. So free trade agreement पे बात होनी है specifically between UK and Australia, right? Now, the trade economic partnership which is specifically there in terms of bilateral investment treaty, जिसे BIT भी कहते हैं. Apart from BIT, the other part is European Free Association. This is a trade association where countries like Iceland, Lithuania, Norway, and Switzerland will begin their part of trade and investment, which is something which began 15 years down the back. Now, around 20 round clock, the talks were there, and agreement will not be finalized yet. So, abhi tak the progress honi chahiye, the pace of the progress has not yet been substantially achievable. Now, this is going to be efforts where the agreement will be before India, and general election is due by 2024. So, and the negotiation will be done, the signature, the MOUs will be signed, but definitely government will be focusing more on this part post elections. Now, India EU talks की अगर बात करें, specifically bilateral trade and investment treaty, it call it BTIA. So in this part, actually this moving slow. अगर UK की भी बात करें, the negotiation was actually supposed to be completed in November during Deepavali occasions. Before that, it was actually supposed to be signed, but it has not been signed. The slow progress has been seen. और COP28 के sideline में meeting में भी ये बातों को discuss किया गया, but there was no conclusive efforts coming out. However, the cutting down of the trade tariffs, mobility and size of the market access companies both remain unsolved. So there are other countries apart from Nordic countries, India and EU talks is also evident. And even if you look at the part from the data, अगर बात करें UK FTA की, वो भी halt पे. So in terms of many countries, the emerging, the developed economy, the trade negotiation has been put on hold. There can be some reason or other, but definitely we need to ensure that this are put in on the pace where we as a country, India as a country from other country get mutually benefited. Now, moving ahead with other news, that is applications under the PM Vishwakarma scheme. So according to the data, this data was actually released by the Ministry of Skill and Enterprises. They have said कि PM Vishwakarma scheme जब launch हुई थी September 2023. So from that time, the application has been received close to 21 lakh. 21 lakh applications रिलीज हुए. उसको लेकर के प्रोटेस्ट हो रही है बिकॉज नो सम आर्टिशियन फील दैट दिस इज समथिंग दैट इज नॉट एप्रिशिएटेबल ऑन देयर पार्ट, बट टू लार्जर एक्सटेंट गवर्नमेंट हैज मेड दिस स्टैंड क्लियर कि इतनी सारी एप्लीकेशंस अभी भी उनके पास आई हैं. Now, what is this PM Vishwakarma scheme? So this scheme is designed to support the traditional artisans. जो traditional artisans हैं, उनको financial assistance देने की बात की गई है through this scheme, the skill training and even providing them toolkit for their craft and livelihood options. So the center, along with the collaborations with the state government, will provide the assistance. Now, the ministry which is actually working for the MSME, they are the nodal ministry. This is important for prelims examination also. And the scheme aims to improve the quality of life, reaching out for the product of the artisans. उसके साथ साथ जो integrations है वो domestic और global value chains में मदद करेगी. Suppose any artisan which is building a product. Now this product with the help of Government of India can also be sold out or exported to different region of the country. Now, just important point to be noted, मैं आपको यहाँ पे बता दूँ कि क्या क्या ऐसे important highlights है PM विश्वकर्मा के बारे में जो आपको और जानना चाहिए. So these are the total details of the program that was specifically there. Credit support की बात की है for 1 lakh rupees for the first tranche, and for the second tranche 2 lakh rupees will be provided, and an interest of only 5% that will be there. And these are the 18 traditional that will be covered in the first instances. So the detail are specifically mentioned, you can check out, right? Now moving about the components of the scheme, कुछ 5 important component है. First, the beneficiary will be getting the 5-day skill workshop. So there will be a skill workshop for 5 days. Again, a toolkit will be provided where the voucher of 15K will be there for purchasing the necessary tool that is required. An interest-free loan, as I've told you, for 1 lakh rupees, and then again followed by 2 lakh rupees with an interest for 5%. So initially there will be no repayment, but post you are taking 2 lakh rupees, an interest of 5% will be applicable on that. Subsidy will be provided with the part of subsidy that is 8% on the interest amount, and credit guarantee, the scheme offer the credit guarantee for the free loan. So these are the important component. Specifically अगर मेंस में आप इस तरह के सवाल को आंसर कर रहे हैं तो आप ये हाईलाइट कर सकते हैं. Now applications details की अगर बात करें, the application that was received from Karnataka is this number, then West Bengal, Assam, Uttar Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh. So the highest number coming from Karnataka, and in contrast to that, 15 states including Haryana, Kerala, Chhattisgarh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and northeastern state have fewer applicants than 10,000. So these are the details about the application received. The ministry has provided this data. And moving ahead with the editorial for the day that talks about the paradigm shift in the medicine, something very important that is specifically and categorically highlight about the gene therapy, how the gene and cell therapy can be a next big change for the country like India, and even for the problem like cancer, which is augmenting, taking a toll in the country. This therapy like CAR therapy can also help a lot. So we'll understand the detailed part, how the genetic counseling, the genetic therapy, and even government has specifically come up with a rare disease where they will be providing the indigenous manufacturing of the rare disease. तो उसको लेकर के भी काफ़ी बातें हैं. This is something very important article और ये आपके जनरल स्टडीज के पेपर 2 में भी हेल्प करेगी. So what I'm going to discuss, we'll see the gene and cell therapy, the cancer concern, infectious disease को लेकर के क्या concern है, and how the part of gene therapy is actually helping and the way forward. So India is a diverse country जहाँ पे the pollution is actually grappled with the burden of genetic disease. If you look at the genetic disease, specifically India is a country which poses more than 15% of the genetic problems. So this is something which is a high number compared to other countries, and even gene therapy is something which is a part of thing which has taken a toll, where genetic codes are underlining the condition. Through gene therapy, we can even identify the future problem that can emerge. Now, condition like thalassemia, sickle cell anemia have a cast on the long shadow over the lives of the individual and their families. If you are well aware, thalassemia आपको पता है एक ऐसी problem है which is lifelong. Sickle cell anemia is also a problem which cannot be cured. So these are the problems which can be prevented. Post we have a idea, we have a gene therapy done. Now consider the sheer magnitude of the issues. Over 40 million individuals of India is estimated to be affected by this disease, together called as hemoglobinopathies, राइट. तो hemoglobinopathies कहते हैं इसे, और ये पूरी डिजीज में काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम्स देखी जाती है जहाँ पे आपके हीमोग्लोबिन पे लेवल पे प्रॉब्लम होती है. थैलेसीमिया इज ऑल्सो हीमोग्लोबिन प्रॉब्लम. सिकल सेल एनीमिया इज अ थैलेसीमिया प्रॉब्लम, द पार्ट ऑफ द हीमोग्लोबिन प्रॉब्लम. सो टुगेदर इट नोन एज अ hemoglobinopathies. Now, gene or cell therapy की अगर बात करें, how this therapy is actually helping to a larger society or the mass population. So the traditional treatment is actually a lifelong management or a regular blood transfusion होती है thalassemia की अगर बात करें specifically. So gene therapy can have definitely a way ahead जहाँ पे genetic mutations पे, specifically when you look at the mutations part जहाँ पे mutate करके उस particular gene region को delete कर दी जाती है. There's other CRISPR technology which is there. So I'm not getting into detail of that technology, but mutation will definitely help by introducing the part of gene and repair faulty forms. This is something which can be treated. तो जीन थेरेपी और सेल थेरेपी एक कटिंग एज टेक्नोलॉजी आई है जहाँ से बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट ट्रीटमेंट किए जा सकते हैं, लाइक सिकल सेल डिजीजेज, डेंगू, कैंसर, HIV एंड एड्स. Now, if you look at the data, how the CAR therapy actually work, this is specifically work for the part of cancers. जो कैंसर्स के डिजीज होते हैं उसमें काफ़ी हद तक मदद करती है. टी सेल जो इनएक्टिवेटेड फॉर्म में टी सेल्स में डाली जाती है, जीन एक्चुअली इनकोड एंड टी सेल विज जनरेटेड. Then there's a CAR production which take place and it finally bind with the cancer cells, and the dead cell is actually the cells that the cancer cells get dead. So this is how the process actually works. Now, what is the concern with regards to cancer in India? See, cancer is again something which is formidable adversary with the part of healthscape. India में कैंसर की अगर बात करें, वी हैव अ गुड नंबर ऑफ पेशेंट्स एंड इवन द कॉस्ट ऑफ कैंसर इज हाई इन इंडिया. तो we are looking forward to the medicines, the treatment which can be more affordable, right? Over 1.6 million people are actually reported with a case of cancer, which is critical. और gene therapy इसमें काफ़ी ज़्यादा evident है with a large number. Now we have ceramic antigen therapy. This is RTEL therapy or the CAR therapy, which is actually helping. और CAR therapy एक नई frontier provide करती है for the cancer treatments. Now there's infectious disease also during COVID-19. This was pretty evident of the fact that the part of the specifically the infectious disease has resulted in unprecedented consequences. So tropical India's में अगर बात करें, it's prone to infections ranging from the pathogen like dengue and tuberculosis. एंटी जो कोविड-19 mRNA की DNA है, जो कि फाइजर बायोटेक ने एक्चुअली रिलीज की थी, मॉडर्ना के साथ हेल्प की थी, तो जीन थेरेपी के प्रोडक्ट्स ही हैं जिसे और फर्दर इंप्रूव करके वी कैन इवन सेव द लाइफ for any other further diseases which can take the advanced version of dengue or tuberculosis. By modifying the immune cells, we can better recognize and elevate the part of gene therapies, or genetic medicines can act as a potent weapon to fight against the infectious disease. So not only for the genetic mutations like thalassemia and other part of the disease which is there, sickle cell anemia की बात करें, infectious disease में भी gene therapy बहुत हद तक effectively काम कर सकती है. Now, the way forward, a demographic and lifestyle changes is evident. We have seen that the gene and cell therapy goes beyond the treatment and embodied the vision for future healthcare of the nation. So, country like India, where the number of cases of cancer is 1.16 billion cases are there, right? उसके साथ साथ और भी cases हैं for infectious disease, for HIV, for sickle cell, for thalassemia. This is the way out that we can adopt. And these therapies anticipated to prepare for future, जहाँ पे precise और personalized treatment मिल सकती है. By moving towards the curative solutions with the part of healthcare services and with the gene therapy, this is something which will actually work and provide a more substantial solutions to the healthcare model. So specifically अगर आप healthcare sector में बात कर रहे हैं या किस तरह की suggestions आपको देनी है specifically mains examination में, you can definitely suggest that gene therapy and cell therapy are the actual way out, and these are going to revolutionize the part of India's transformation. And to anticipated part, India में ये भी बताया गया कि आने वाले टाइम में जो genetic disorders हैं वो बढ़ सकते हैं, कम नहीं होंगे. So in this way, gene therapy and cell therapy is going to help mass populations. Now moving ahead with the answers discussion for Saturday questions. The correct option for the first is options D. You can check out your correct option. इसमें options 1 correct है, options 2 correct है, right? And option 3 is correct. So these are the 3 statements that is correct. You can pause this video and you can check out the details over here. The second question of the day was the correct statement is options B, right? Here the statement 2 is correct and statement 1 is incorrect. This was about the theory. Now moving ahead with today's MCQ questions for the day. The first question talks about aquaculture. 3 statement है जिसे आपसे consider करने हैं. Aquaculture is the productions of aqua creature which is compared for commercial recreation and the part of public purposes. Ministry of Agriculture regulate करती है plant breeding, animal breeding, raising the harvesting and accept the markets and freshwater ecosystem which take place. तो आपको बताना है कौन कौन से correct option है. How you can participate in the answer providing answer, कुछ नहीं, आपको comment section में जाना है, क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 लिखने और उसके जो करेक्ट ऑप्शन है वो आप हमें कमेंट करके जरूर बताएं. दिस पार्टिसिपेशन will definitely help you and definitely motivate us to give more questions, good quality questions for you. The second question is about the treaty, that is Treaty on Conventional Armed Forces in Europe. It was signed by NATO, was a part, and restrict the deployment of military. The responsibility is monitored through the treaty compliances and sharing of the reciprocal inspections. So do check out for the correct option. Question number 2 लिख करके उसके जो correct options हैं वो आप opt कर सकते हैं. And you can write that in the comment section down below, right? Comment section आपको नीचे मिल जाएंगे where you can write it. So this was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern about test series, programs, admissions, you can reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying connected.